When it comes to politics, I observe there are two primary motivators that get us involved. One is inspiration, and we've heard some inspirational stories today so far. The other motivator, and we got to be honest with ourselves, is anger. Inspiration is seeing a motivational speaker like Barack Obama and hearing, "Yes, we can," and fired up. Ready to go. Right? That's inspiration. Anger is also a valid motivator, and it's important, though, not to be consumed by it. Anger is what drove me off the sidelines to get involved after the election in 2016 when Trump got into our White House. We're going to touch on examples of both. First, though, let's start about the inspirational side of things. We've started a Volunteer of the Month program, and you see these lovely people who have all worked above and beyond to contribute to the success of our party. The names and faces and the work that they've done over the years is just wonderful. So it is my pleasure to make an announcement for this month's August Volunteer of the Month. Would you please stand and come to the stage? Denise Waldrop. Come on up, Denise. Denise is our former first vice chair. She is an amazing, amazing organizer. She was always working behind the scenes, looking for no credit. She's been generous with her artistry. If you've seen the little cartoon of Senator Nicholson and the fish with the fish fry, that was her design. That's what kicked this whole thing off and let me know that it was going to work out after all. We got some great cartoon from her and for everything else she's done, even as a former candidate herself. Thank you, Denise. Now you are expected to give a few words.
Wow. I don't have any words, but I'm just so grateful to be included in the great crowd here and everyone who's working together for the common good. And I get angry and then inspired. And then I see people like Elijah and young people, and I think it's time to lead, and it's time to say, let's get involved in redistricting, and let's take the power back to the people. If we don't show them that we're watching, then the power goes to the wrong places. So let's all work hard as volunteers and keep the power in the right place and set an example for the next generation, for Elijah and all our young people out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you go, I want to make sure that you get this award of recognition to Denise Waldrop in appreciation for years of volunteerism and generosity in support of the efforts of the Greenwood County Democratic Party on this day, the 7th of August, 2021. And also, as a small token of our appreciation, and I'll have to put a picture of this online. If I thought about it, I'd put it up on the TV. But we have a commemorative painting of the White House and the two dogs, now sadly down to one. This is an older painting. But the two dogs sitting on the lawn of the White House, commemorative of the Biden administration. So this goes to you as well. And it also has a certificate of authenticity, basically saying it's an authentic copy of a real painting, not the painting itself. So there you go. And Denise, thank you again for everything you've done. You are an inspiration to me and to many others. And I look forward for the executive committee to debate on who our October recognition is going to go to. We are not going to have a breakfast meeting in September. We're going to make room for Floyd's Fish Fry that month and then resume our breakfast meetings in October. But I look forward to anybody who wants to just kind of do the work that needs to be done and join the pantheon of amazing volunteers that are here in Greenwood. Another piece of inspiration that just got me emotional is the fact that the Greenwood County Democrats, something I've always wished would happen, has adopted a highway. We have got a segment of Cokesbury Street, and one Saturday we cleaned up a mile and a half of it, and boy, it was filthy and needed cleaning. We took care of it, and as a result, we got recognition in the paper for it with our group photo, which I thought was fantastic, but even better, we got a sign put up on the side of the road. Sponsored by the GWD Democrats. And I just love to think that Republicans are driving down that street every day, forced to feel that sign, see that sign, and go, those darn Democrats cleaning up our town, how dare they? So that just makes me feel great. And the sad thing is I've been by that street again, and it's dirty again. It didn't take long for the trash to accumulate, so we might have to have another cleanup session here when the weather gets a little bit cooler. So those are examples of inspiration. And doesn't that make us feel good? Well, I'm going to kind of go down a different path here, and there are many, many things in this world that just aren't right. Lack of health care, low standards of education, voting rights being eroded. You know, we could spend all day talking about these things. But in the past 2 weeks, something leapt out above all and brought a fire to my belly like never before. Now, I'm going to be a little honest with you. I struggled and debated about whether to share this with you. I'm going to show you a clip, a video clip. It's raw, it's emotional, it's got language in it that I don't know has ever been broadcast in these sacred halls, so my apologies in advance, but in the end I decided it was important for us to bear witness here in the safety of this room and on the television screen, one of the most frightening moments in American history, a moment that was the direct endgame of 4 years of a presidential administration whose depths of depravity were unparalleled. It's only a few minutes long, so I ask you to bear witness with me and listen to some of the testimony of the Capitol police officers. Have you watched any of that broadcast? I'm going to play a few clips of it now.
I too was being crushed by the rioters. I could feel myself losing oxygen and recall thinking to myself, this is how I'm going to die, defending this entrance.
I was grabbed, beaten, tased, all while being called a traitor to my country. I was at risk of being stripped of and killed with my own firearm as I heard chants of kill him with his own gun. I could still hear those words in my head today.
I told them to just leave the Capitol, and in response they yelled, "No, man, this is our house. President Trump invited us here. We're here to stop the steal." That prompted a torrent of racial epithets. One woman in a pink MAGA shirt yelled, "You hear that, guys? This nigger voted for Joe Biden." Then the crowd, perhaps around 20 people, joined in screaming, "Boo, fucking nigger." No one had ever called me a nigger while wearing the uniform of a Capitol police officer. In the days following the attempted insurrection, other black officers shared with me their own stories of racial abuse on January 6th. One officer told me he had never, and in his entire 40 years of life, been called a nigger to his face, and that streak ended on January 6th.
Like most Americans, I'm frustrated that 6 months after a deadly insurrection breached the United States Capitol for several hours on live television, we still don't know exactly what happened. Why? Because many in my party have treated this as just another partisan fight.
So again, I apologize for that, and I hope never to have to share anything like that again. The mob, the insurrection, that was all very disturbing and saddening, and to be honest, my heart's pounding right now having just watched that again. But what I tell you truly angered me, and the reason why I decided to bring this up today as a motivator, is really not the mob themselves, but what angered me was how the majority of Republicans downplayed it, refused to accept its magnitude and significance, and in too many cases defended and even praised what occurred there. Greenwood Representative John McCravey was no different. He was quoted online, and this is his own writing. He said, "Regrettably, there were always a few nuts and a few rabble-rousers in every crowd." That testimony we heard was not just a few nuts and a few rabble-rousers. The deaths that transpired afterwards was not the result of a few nuts and a few rabble-rousers. He went on to say, unfortunately, much of the media and many politicians have seized upon the opportunity to paint the president and all his supporters as violent extremists. He's blaming us. He's blaming the cameras. He's blaming the video for what transpired, not the actions themselves. So when our representatives give cover for that, we can certainly expect it to happen again. So again, I conclude by saying there's two things that motivate us, inspiration and anger. You saw examples of both here. And if you can use this to fuel yourselves to join up, do voter registration, participate in a fundraiser, hand out literature, work on a campaign, join a caucus, or even better yet, run for office yourself. This is the time to do so. It's what's brought me up here on the stage. It's what brought our guests here on the stage. It's what brought you into this room. Let's let it carry us forward.